This radio program is PG-13. Parents strongly caution some material may be inappropriate for children under the age of 13.
The following program is sponsored by Michael W. Smith. The views expressed on the following program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership.
Arizona, Phoenix, Brother Mike is back on the radio. Welcome to HardcoreChristianity.com. Welcome to the Arizona Deliverance Center. Welcome to my silver anniversary year of being on the radio and KXXT Christian Radio. May God richly bless you. Thanks for tuning in. Today's Bible study, Trans Terror. Today on Hardcore. Hey, will you call something and tell them radio program's on? Got a good one for you. This is Brother Mike. I'm the professional counselor at the Arizona Deliverance Center in Central Phoenix. We're downtown on 15th Avenue, just south of Osborne Road. It's a red brick building. HardcoreChristianity.com's website. We have all of our ministry services there. Please remember we have another revival coming in May. Starts on the 21st. Brother Noah is coming in again from out of state, and we'll have several other interesting guest speakers. I hope you'll attend. Please remember we have 2 live services every week, Thursday, Friday nights at 7 p.m. We have Ladies Night at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesdays. We have 3 Zooms available every week, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday evenings. We have a counseling center. If you're a born-again Christian and you have no money and no insurance, it is no problem. You're eligible for free counseling services. Call me, 602-636-5800, 636-5800. We have a worship service on Saturdays at 4:30 p.m. where we come and sing and pray in tongues. I hope you'll join us. It's an anointed session on Saturdays. You wouldn't believe it. It's just really fantastic. It's the only singing in tongues worship service in the state of Arizona. Please come and participate. You'll love it. Don't forget to hit the PayPal button on the website and send us another donation. Thanks for helping us for the last 25 years. Transgenderism. A lot of interesting things about transgenderism. What actually happened was, 20 years ago or so. There were some isolated cases long before that, but the devil decided, what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise a monster in American society and spread all over the world. You're going to be involved in social media. And the devil decided, hey, you know what? I've got homosexuality in the bag. I've got lesbianism in the bag. I started that, back in the 70s. No problemo. Now I want transgenderism, transgender identity disorders. Now that's what I want. Well, there's a very interesting case at the Supreme Court. Oral arguments were October 7th, 2025. The Childs versus Salazar case. It's a landmark case regarding the constitutionality of a Colorado state law that bans conversion therapy for minors. And what this law is actually saying in Colorado, by the way, 22 other states also have legally banned conversion therapy for minors, including the District of Columbia. But what this case is really all about is, can a state come between a client and their therapist by restricting what they can talk about? That's essentially the case. Because in Colorado, like these other 22 states, a minor who is, as you might imagine, struggling with social media, overwhelmed by it, they're withdrawn, they're anxious, they've got emotional problems, and through social media and satanic hypnotic suggestion, they come to the parent one day and they say, hey, I'm not a boy, I'm actually a girl. Happens all the time. So you, as a concerned parent, obviously, you go about and you try to find a therapist or a counselor or a psychologist for your child, and you want one that has your values, your interests at heart. So, for example, I don't know, if you were a Mormon family, you'd want a Mormon therapist. If you were Catholics, you'd want a Catholic therapist or psychologist, and on down the line. And so you take your child who's having these gender identity, gender confusion issues, you take them to a licensed therapist in Colorado, and they share your faith. You find someone that your son or daughter trusts and who are willing to listen. And, you send your child there for help, trying to clarify these issues. Well, in Colorado, you're not allowed to do that. You can have a $5,000 fine, and you can lose your license as a therapist if you get involved with conversion therapy or any kind of therapy that causes the child to question whether or not they are actually the opposite sex. So if they were born as a boy and they suddenly decided they're probably a girl, you are not allowed to say anything or do anything to restrict that. So the law in Colorado restricts the free speech intercourse between a client and their therapist for minors. You're not allowed to say anything or indicate anything that their desire to be another sex may in fact be a mental illness, may in fact be related to influences of social media, may in fact not be healthy. And in the United States right now, believe it or not, all across the board, people are starting to put the brakes on transgenderism. A growing number of hospitals and healthcare systems are discontinuing gender transition procedures for minors. And they cite legal risks and scientific uncertainty as the reasons. Even in Great Britain, they put the brakes on this thing. They have what they call the 2024 CAS review. This was an enormous evaluation of their hospital systems and medical systems, examining pediatric gender medicine. And what they found was fascinating in England. They found a lot of evidence supporting medical interventions in minors to be very weak and inconclusive. And they initiated a series of policy changes to modify this process. Even in the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, they are now putting the brakes on this thing. They've recommended against gender surgeries for minors. And the American Medical Association, believe it or not, has also endorsed deferring these interventions until the minor has reached adulthood. But the problem is, under Colorado law and 22 other states, you are not allowed as a therapist, a counselor, a psychologist, or a social worker, what have you, you are not allowed to help this child clarify these issues or explore alternatives to gender transition. And if you do, you could have your license suspended and hit with a $5,000 fine in the state of Colorado. This is what's happening right this second, and the Supreme Court later on this year will come out with a decision clarifying this to see if Colorado's law and the other states, if it is in fact not a violation of the patient's constitutional rights. Because many young people, again, because of social media, that's the number one proponent of transgenderism. And you know there's been numerous mass shootings in schools and public places, shopping malls, so on, where transgender shooters have been involved. And as I've indicated now for the last 10 years on the radio, transgenderism is in fact a mental illness. There are only two genders, and if you truly believe you're born in the wrong body, you are suffering from to a greater or lesser degree, a mental illness. It is not normal. And the Colorado law restricts personal speech, which appears to be a violation of the Constitution, where you would have the right to discuss any issue with your therapist, your doctor, your psychiatrist, your psychologist, what have you, and not be interfered with by some state agency who arbitrarily determined that what you're doing is wrong. Well, here's what triggered this whole thing. Westchester County, there was a lawsuit, a malpractice case, where a 22-year-old underwent a double mastectomy at age 16. Well, she sued her healthcare provider and the surgeon, saying they deviated from reasonable standards of care. Her mother testified in trial. They had all kinds of medical personnel there and so on. And that the transitioning did not improve the girl's desire to commit suicide. And what happened was they won a $2 million verdict against the hospital and the doctor because of malpractice. Even the Department of Health and Human Services, in a recent report, indicated that 90% of children who experience gender dysphoria before puberty naturally reconcile with their biological sex after they've matured and gone through puberty. If you have this condition, if you have anybody who you know has this condition and they want to be healed, they can be delivered from this attack of the devil. You do not have to die trans. 602-636-5800. You're eligible for free counseling and prayer at the Arizona Deliverance Center. You can send me an email, mike@hardcorechristianity.com. I'll get you on the counseling and prayer schedule. God can and will deliver you from this illness in Jesus' mighty name. See you next time.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership. This program was sponsored by Michael W. Smith.